Jen Delgado is here, a member of our Fox 5 team. Jen, are you what's your official title? Are you meteorologist?
I am a meteorologist. Yes, I am. I am a
Okay.
STEM girl. I've been a meteorologist since about 2008. And before here, I was at Weather Channel. And before that, I was at CNN. So I also did a show for the Discovery Channel, a weather, just like an international weather expert. So weather is my game. That's my love.
Wow. Okay, my God, you've had all kinds of shows on
Yeah.
weather, different networks. How is working for Discovery? I'm obsessed with them. I mean, normally they have people that are eating their sofa cushions, but I guess,
Yes, right.
or popping
It
pimples.
was a great show. Yeah, I did that last season. It was a great show. I'm not doing it anymore because obviously I'm here, but it's really fun. I really love, weather. I love geography. I love all things that have to do with science. But one thing I really liked about tapping into some of the other previous jobs is more international weather and just kind of getting into tsunamis, getting into volcanoes, covering typhoons as opposed to just hurricanes or tropical systems. So I have a big love for all international weather, especially in a lot of other countries. The weather service isn't as good as what we have here in the
Yeah.
U.S. And we're really lucky for that. So a lot of times, we would get stories from people and they'd say, hey, you saved our lives. We didn't know this was going to happen. So it really is
Wow.
just, it's a very fulfilling job. And I love it.
Real quick, what's your take on climate change? Do you feel like you have to inform people about that? Do you stay out of it?
Absolutely.
Okay, what do you think?
Absolutely. The climate is warming and we need to save it for the animals, for the kids of the future, your mom, These are things
I
that we
know.
need to intervene because these temperature changes and the swings, this isn't the norm. And we have to try to cut back and lower our CO2 to try to, you know, to stop this pace that's happening. I mean, now
Yeah.
with climate change, we're seeing such extremes. We're seeing stronger tornadoes. We're seeing stronger hurricanes and bigger flood events, and of course, out in the west, wildfires. So, oh, absolutely, climate change is here, and we really need to respect it and believe it's too late for people to try to deny this.
Wow. Oh, that's great. And I mean, you guys are in a tough position, right? Because I'm sure if you say that, you're going to get people that disagree with you or say you shouldn't be, it's political
Uh-huh.
now. But I'm glad to hear, obviously you speak your truth. That's what your truth is. You work in the
Yeah,
business.
it
You
is.
feel.
Now more people are starting to get on board with it. But I even remember just maybe even 6 or 7 years ago, even fellow meteorologists didn't actually believe in climate change. And I think
Wow.
now a lot of people have really come around and seen the science like, okay, we can't dispute this.
All right, let's go back. You grew up in Atlanta, right? And
Actually, I'm from St. Louis and I moved here from Atlanta, but Atlanta has my heart now. I will tell you that. I'm an
really,
18-year-old girl.
everybody loves Atlanta.
I love it.
I know, and there's a
It's
lot of,
warm.
yeah. What do you love about
Traffic's
it?
a little crazy, but hey, that's Atlanta for you. Don't let it snow because then you'll be stuck in your car for like 13 hours.
Oh yeah, forget they have no
Yes.
idea what to do with snow.
No.
Okay, you grew up in St. Louis. Tell me about life in St. Louis. Did you have siblings? What did your parents do? How was life
Mhm.
there?
Yeah, I came from actually a STEM family. My dad was a chemist and my mom was a nurse. So the whole family was in science. And even my sister went to school for biology. So I'm from St. Louis out in West County. And I had a really great childhood. St. Louis was a great town for weather because we get so many extremes. We get leftover tropical systems. Of course, we get big snowstorms and tornadoes and, of course, flooding. There are a lot of times where, the Mississippi, Missouri River is flooded
Oh, I
and, it
bet.
impacts a lot of people. People couldn't go to school. So it really was a really great weather town, but it's a little too cold for me.
I bet. So,
Yeah.
so
The
okay.
food is excellent.
So growing up, I mean, did your parents kind of push you in this science direction? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously.
I would say so. Like even like my dad, or I could talk to my parents about the Coriolis force or something like that. So they all knew that. So it was a big deal.
Wow.
They pushed, education and, science. So, before it became the new thing, we were always kind of doing that. So everybody was pretty smart in family.
You seem like you have a great personality too, which, most people who are bright and very smart don't have a great personality, but you seem like a talker. I mean, I could see you like as class president or you were like, hosting all kinds of events. What were you like in high school and middle
I
school?
was really like the kind of kid that I could hang out with anybody. I could hang out with the freaks and geeks. the cool kids. I was just kind of neutral. So I kind of appreciated everybody. I kind of just kind of straddled that role of trying to just be friends with kind of everybody. You kind of really just have to embrace just people who you are, where I grew up, I was kind of one of the only minorities. So it was, it was just kind of different for me. So I just really kind of learned to adapt is, I guess, probably what I should say.
I bet. Tell people what that was like. What was it? Was it very obvious that you were a minority? I mean, or do you feel like people, like you just fit in and you didn't realize it till
Yeah,
later?
I mean, I really just kind of fit in, and we just all just kind of hung out. I think probably when I got older, I probably realized more like, okay, maybe I look a little different than other people, but where I grew up, and then I'm like, wow, there's so many other people out here. But yeah, I mean, I had a great childhood. I mean, I had great friends, and everybody was very warm and embracing. So it was pretty good.
So when did you decide you wanted to be on TV? Tell us about the journey. You end up obviously graduating from high school. You go to college. Did you know immediately that you wanted to combine kind of your science background that your family had and television? Tell us how that all came together.
Well, to be honest with you, I always wanted to be a meteorologist, and I always wanted to be in TV. It's something I just remember just sitting outside, and I used to love it when storms would come through, and I would look at the trees and the leaves, and the trees would switch around when the winds would come through with the storms coming through. So it was something I always really loved. But then I was like, oh my God, the science. Some of the science with the meteorology was pretty tough. So I ended up getting my journalism degree. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back and get my meteorology degree. And I'm just going to power through this. I'm going to get through thermodynamics. And I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do SQT. And here I am now.
Wow.
So it goes to show, follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams. And where did you go to college? Did you go to college?
I got my degree from Mississippi State.
Okay, you went to Mississippi State. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Real Southern girl down there in Mississippi.
Yeah, I got my meteorology degree there. And so it was great. I mean, a lot of meteorologists go to Mississippi State. So they're really well known for this. And so, so it goes to show, go back, put your mind to it, and you can pass.
You can pass. That's so inspiring, right? It's a struggle. So where do you get your first gig out of college? You become a meteorologist, you get your degree, and then where do you start?
You like a lot of us here, we start in small markets. I worked in Missouri, then I worked in Richmond, Virginia, and then from Richmond, Virginia, I jumped to CNN. And then from there, I went to the Weather Channel. And then, long story short, I ended up having a transplant, and now I'm back in here.
So what was that like? I mean, was CNN or Weather Channel always the dream? I mean,
Yeah, you know what? I would tell you, my dream was always CNN. Like, I loved CNN a lot. It was a great company, great station. And then one day, Weather Channel came knocking, and then I went there. And working at Weather Channel, it's like going back to school. It really is, because there's so many great meteorologists there, Jim Cantori, Greg Forbes, the tornado experts out there, Tom Nizzle. So it was a great experience. I worked at CNN with some great people, and then I went to Weather Channel and I worked with great people. I did shows with Al Roker and Sam Champion. So
I was going to say, Sam Champion there? I love Sam.
Yes. Yep. Sam Champion was there, and now he's back at ABC. So I really had some great role models, at Weather Channel and both, CNN. But yeah, it was great. Al Roker was great. Just so many great people. Jim Cantori, all nice. And so brilliant folks.
How did you end up at Fox 5? Did you want to come back to this area? Did they just sort of love you, want you, and you were like, you know what? All right, this is a job.
It's B, yes.
Yes, they loved you, they wanted you. Yeah, so you were like, I'm taking this gig.
Hello, I mean, isn't that what everybody wants?
It's good to be wanted,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Well, tell me this. You've had like a lot of people, you've had your struggles in life and your highs and lows.
Yeah, you too.
Yes. I mean, we've both had a cancer, which is like, oh, I don't know how you took it, but like when you hear that word, I think the words,
it's gut wrenching.
You're
like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, me? I have cancer? You're like, it just doesn't make sense,
And you don't, so tell us what you had and how you found out.
Yeah, I have a form of leukemia. I have a form of blood cancer, and I just was like not feeling well. I was getting confused a lot, just dizzy, like hand, foot, mouth, everything that was going on. I mean, like I had every type of like cold. I was getting sick all the time. And I kept saying, I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And I was aching all the time. So finally, I went to a doctor. I went to numerous doctors for probably about a year. And everybody's like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're just, whatever. You're getting older. And finally, I went to another doctor, Dr. Drew Freilich, which he was a urologist in Atlanta. And I credit him with saving my life because he took my symptoms seriously. Like, one thing about when you are sick, you really have to be an advocate for yourself. And this reminds me, I still need to do a Google review for him for saving my life.
Yeah. He's waiting on that, Jen.
I know, he is. He's waiting on that one.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, next thing I know, like, okay, he's like, we're going to do, a scan. And thankfully I did it because I was like, oh, maybe I'm not even going to do it, And then the doctor's office called. They're like, hey, you haven't done the scan yet. I was like, fine, I'll go. I was like, well, I didn't feel like doing the copay. So make a long story short, I went to have the scan, and I remember I was going up to the doctor's office to drop off the scan. He called me, and I'm like, hey, how did you get my scan already? He's like, oh. I'm like, I just dropped it off. He's like, are you in the building? And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, well, why don't you come upstairs? And I'm like, wait a minute.
I know it's never good when they want to see you.
When they call you. I was like, no, you look at it and call me later. It's really nice out. It's like 78 degrees. I'm going to go have lunch with some friends. Call me after you look at that. He's like, no, really, you need to come upstairs. So I was like, oh, crap. You know how you get that call?
Yeah.
And you're like, you ever see those scenes in the movie and like you're walking down the hallway and the hallway just keeps getting longer and longer? Oh God, this is not going to be good. And it wasn't good. So then they're like, yeah, we think you have cancer. And I was like, oh, great. And then after that, my whole world just fell apart. And then they're right. And then I ended up going to a doctor, and I ended up going to Emory University, which I lucked out because they specialized in my cancer, which is, in my town. And they were like, you're going to need a bone marrow transplant. I was like, oh God. And then they're like, yeah, you're going to have to do this. So I did maybe 7 months of chemotherapy, and then I had to check into the hospital, and then
you were working, right, this whole time?
You know what? I actually just stopped working because I wasn't feeling good, and I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I mean,
wow,
I was like I had slurred speech. Well, the cancer had caused lesions in my head, my spine, hips, and everything like that. So I was just getting ready to go back to work, but I knew something was wrong. I knew it, just people weren't finding it. And, you start Googling, looking up symptoms, and, I couldn't diagnose it. I never thought it would be cancer. But anyway, long story short, so they told me I had to get a bone marrow transplant.
Sure.
So I have this ugly scar, which people always ask me. That's my port.
Yeah, sure.
Which
yeah.
I used to hate it, and I used to hide it. And now I'm just like, okay, well, I just embrace it.
Hey,
it gave me life, right?
You're here. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't know about you, but I had to have these ugly tassels. They were hanging out, and I'll save you all the gory details. But so I had the bone marrow transplant. At the same time, I had 6 dogs because 2 of my friends were adopting dogs, and they were like, oh, well, I think we don't want the dogs anymore. So I was trying to battle cancer. And then and then I had 6 dogs and, mounting bills and everything else. So, wow. But I tell you what, those dogs, they saved my life because they were my best friends.
I was going to ask you, who got you through? I mean, you left a job. You now are diagnosed with cancer. I mean,
it was hell. Yeah.
And for 7 months of just hell.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I started the chemo, I guess maybe in June. And then when I had the bone marrow transplant, you're in isolation for 3 weeks in the hospital. And then you come out of there, you're in isolation for another 100 days. So you don't have visitors, you're going crazy. And people wonder why I'm so close to my dogs. Well, I was locked up with them for so long. Before COVID, nobody could touch us bone marrow transplant people.
Sure, yeah. You knew
isolation.
You knew what it was like.
You think you have problems? I had to sit in my house for 130 days. What about you? No, everybody does it, but we still did it way longer. We couldn't do it with family and friends and stuff like that. So
Jen, how did that experience change? Did you some people it's life changing, other people want to move on from it and kind of not dwell on the past. What was it for you?
Well, I mean, it did change my life in the sense that I think I was a little too vain. Like I was really into my hair. I
You
had
have beautiful
really
hair.
fabulous hair. I'm like, my hair was like down to here, and everybody always thought I had a weave. I'm like, they didn't realize I got it from my mom. They know that my hair, and that was really traumatic for me because like my hair was it, and like my hair always had to be perfect. I drove many a hairstylist crazy, like my friend Sula. But so when I had to shave my hair off, it was traumatic. It
Yeah,
was really traumatic.
I bet it's
So
a
I
hard
was all like,
day.
here's a little probably oversharing. So I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be bald, I'm going to look good. I'm like, I want lip injections. This is what I want. I went all crazy. I
So
was like,
you
I'm going to
shaved
look
your
really good. Clearly, I was not in my right state. It was all the chemo.
God,
And then
freaking
little
love
did
it.
I know, like, okay, so when they prep you for all this medicine for your transplant, it makes your face swell. I had all these like, steroids, and you know what this is. My lips were so big, like everything. It was ridiculous. And I was like, everybody's like, what is going on with your lips?
You're like, well, the
I don't do it
injections
anymore.
plus this.
They're normal now. They're back to normal.
Um,
But
Jen,
my mom appreciates, but
it's
so anyway, yeah. So it made it, for me, it just meant that, I really kind of wanted to give back to other people, and like people who are going through the same thing that I went through, and just like what you went through. I wanted
Yeah.
people to know that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, because you feel like you are in the gutter. It's the lowest point. You're like, how am I ever going to get back to being myself? When you come home from this transplant, I couldn't even walk up like 5 sets of stairs without being winded. It was ridiculous. And, just being trapped in the house, like, for part of the time I had to be away from the animals because of the immune system and, the danger of that. So,
yeah. Just it's
if you see me around DC and my dogs are with me, it's because, well, I've developed an unhealthy bond with them.
I don't blame you. Yeah, and I was telling you,
And yes, I have a stroller. I do have a stroller.
I had seen that you have you have 4 dogs now, right?
Yeah, now I'm down to 3. We lost one. We lost Sweet Willow. So now I'm down to 3. So if you see a brown girl walking around Bethesda with a stroller, it's me with a bunch of dogs. And they're very cute. And I'm not just saying this. My dogs are
very cute.
They're very cute.
Yeah, you're amazing and so brave. I told you,
I'm a Pom mom and a Yorkie mom.
Pom mom and a Yorkie mom. Yeah, I was saying, I went through a pregnancy cancer, and the day you walk into that infusion center for the first time, it's like it's out of body. You cannot believe it.
It's the loneliest place in the world. I mean, and it is so depressing. And I said to my friend, God, this is the most depressing place. She's like, no. A children's cancer place. That's the worst place in the world to go,
I know. And you're getting better. It's just, it's hard. It's very hard. But
how long did you go through your chemotherapy?
Mine was a couple of months. Mine was caught really, really early. So they actually gave me methotrexate shots. So I never had to have a port put in.
So you had it in your stomach and stuff?
In my butt.
Oh yeah, because you had a baby in your belly, yeah.
Well, unfortunately for my situation, I was telling you, I lost the baby. Then I had this crazy hemorrhage, which was why they knew something was wrong, and this mole was growing back. And then I had the 12 shots, 4 rounds over 2 months. And it was, I mean, look, I knew I had a good prognosis.
Yeah,
but it's
burnt
still
skin, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me this, though. I wanted to find out, and then we'll move on to happier.
But now you have a new baby, right?
Yeah, he's 8 months old. Yes,
okay,
yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm loving it. You obviously are a pet lover. You love dogs, but do you
love animals? Yes, I do. I love animals. What can I say? I mean, animals are a lot of times better than most people, as you and I both know, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true.
I just grew up with animals, and everywhere I go, it's funny, like animals just seem to kind of follow me. They try to follow me home.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you have anything aside from dogs? Like, or have you had any pets that you haven't really shared with the audience that you've had over the years?
I've always just had a lot of Pomeranians. Like I said, now I'm down to 3 dogs, which is really weird because I'm so used to getting in the car, 1 doggy, 2 doggies, 3 doggies, 4 doggies. So now I'm down to 3. So I always say 1 dog is easy. 1 dog is like having a child, 1 child. 2 dogs is easy. You have somebody to play with, and then, You get 3 dogs, it's okay, it's not bad. 4 dogs is crazy. I don't necessarily recommend that, but once you get it down, and the good news is mine have always been so small. My one Yorkie's only like 2 pounds, like so I can just like literally pick him up. But the problem is he's so little. Sometimes I forget him, and I'm like, oh my god, where's Oscar? So,
where's Oscar?
literally, I do.
What? Okay.
And then I'll open up the door, and he's like walking down the hall of the apartment, like, does anybody know where I live? You know.
Tell me what the names of your dogs are.
Okay, so I have Paco Taco, Louie, Oscar, and then the one who just passed is Willow. So yeah, so I have 4 puppies. Well, in heaven, the 4th one, but yeah. And then before that, I had Winston, and I had Baxter, and then I had Nikki. So I've had a lot of pets. So.
And I mean, you work crazy hours, right? So I mean,
I do.
Are your dog walking
it takes
bills?
A village. Yeah, it really does. It takes a village. You know how people have like nannies? They have dog nannies. They have good uncles and aunts, new fur uncles and aunts. Luckily, I have a good friend here, Ethan and Emily, and they really love the dog. So when I need help, the worst part is when there's severe weather, you know, I'm worried about like keeping people alive and tracking tornadoes. And then I'm also worried about my dog Louie, because he's terrified of thunderstorms. He's like, I don't care. We're all going to die. Yeah. Call Jim Cantori. You know, this is bad. So that makes it a little stressful. So I, you know, it takes a lot of work. It costs a lot of money too.
I was going to say.
One thing that I've noticed, the biggest challenge now with COVID and animals, it's very hard to get into a vet clinic. Oh. Because so many people have adopted pets. There's a veterinarian shortage because there's so many pets out there now. Like, you know, and then a lot of vet clinics aren't even taking you on. So like I got denied by probably like 6 clinics. And I'm like, look, I mean, I've got a lot of dogs.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a good client.
So
yeah, this is like kind of the big challenge now with COVID, with so many people, which is great that people adopted dogs, but there's a really severe dog veterinarian shortage.
So Jen, what are some things that you do when you're not at work? Obviously,
you know, I'm a big outdoor person. I really love to be outside. I love just to like walk and, you know, hike. Those are some of the things I like to do. You know, I really like to go to the movies, but I really don't go to the movies really, or do a lot of things because, you know, I guess I didn't mention this earlier, you know, with COVID, you know, we're all being very cautious with it, but I actually have to be even more cautious because the COVID vaccine has the least efficacy for people with blood cancer. So I'm very high risk. So, you know, a lot of the things that I used to like to do, I can't do as much. You know, I would love to go check out some of the museums and things like that, but I really have to just kind of be more aware. You know, in DC is great, you know, about people wearing masks. But, you know, some of the things that I used to love to do, like many people, it's been put on hold. So, you know, being outdoors is a way like, you know, it gives you a little bit more freedom. You know, I like to go down the Beltway and, you know, since I've been here, I've been exploring a little bit, you know, going to, you know, outdoor areas like Arlington or even like Annapolis or things like that. So, you know, once things get better, I think in the spring, I think I'm going to check out things more. So, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, really it. I just really like being outdoors.
I know. I'm with you. Love being out walking, hiking, and obviously you take your pets out a lot.
I really like going to Costco.
Oh, you're a Costco woman, huh?
You know, I can't really do that as much here either. So I'm a foodie.
I love it. What are some of your do you have a favorite restaurant yet in DC? Have you been able to explore much? I know with COVID and, you know, everything, it's kind of hard.
I've gone to a couple places. Like I've gone to like Flavio's, which is in DC, which is very nice, big outdoor, open patio, great. What are some of my favorite places here? I haven't, you know, I really don't feel like I have any favorite places. There is a little sandwich shop next to work, and I think I literally moved here because of the sandwich place, but it's closing in December. But it's called the Hamden Cafe. It's owned by these wonderful Korean ladies, and they make Korean food all week long. Yum. And I love Korean food. So that's become kind of like sort of like my home away from home if I want to get some food there. Yeah. What else do I like to go? Places do I like to go to? My dog really likes to we go to the Lululemon a lot. Okay. Because we walk around and Paco really loves the dog treats there. And Where else do I go around here? I mean, I have my usual spots. I go to some of the
Sure.
little bakeries around here.
Jen, if you weren't a meteorologist, have you ever thought about what else you would do?
Seismologist. I like to be either a seismologist because I love anything geography
What's
or
this?
dermatologist. Those are the two. One of the two I will just.
You do have amazing skin, by the way. You beautiful.
It's called makeup.
No, I bet
But
you were
I would
always
love.
born.
I
I bet
think
you were
in
born with
retrospect,
good skin.
I would love to be like a dermatologist in another life or a
Really?
seismologist. Yes, I would. I
Tell,
love earthquakes.
okay,
Those are
tell me
my
what a
jam.
seismologist is. It's they measure earthquakes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
why earthquakes? What do you?
Well,
They
you know what?
seem so
Too, that goes back
terrifying.
to like my international roots at CNN, and we did a lot of geography, and I just loved everything to do with earthquakes and tsunamis and lava, volcanoes, and all that. So a lot of meteorologists are geography lovers too. So it kind of sort of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Jen,
Yeah.
what do you want the viewers to know as far as like what is like something that's not known about your job that might be either difficult or kind of fun or
Well,
what do you think the viewer
I,
doesn't see?
well, our job, it's fun. It is fun. The great thing is, we don't have to take our work home. In the sense that yes, we're planning ahead for the forecast ahead, but we have that night. I think a lot of people think that our job is very glamorous and we come into hair and makeup and I have that, at CNN and Weather Channel, but if we look kind of jacked up on the air, that's our fault. Because and two, with COVID, a lot of that's been cut back. So I think people don't realize sometimes it's very hard. Even like when I would do weather, just like at the Weather Channel or something like that, and you're covering weather all across the country, and people would get so upset, like you said Vichy and not Vichy or something like that, or
Oh.
you don't pronounce the name right. Look, we're just trying to keep you alive, okay? And it's hard. So I hope people at home know that it's very hard. You got to learn the lingo. You got to know where like people have gone to school. You have to learn all these things to you really kind of familiarize yourself and localize yourself with the area.
It's
So
so much harder than people think, right?
it
I mean,
is. It's a lot harder. And then like you're thinking on the fly and you're like, okay, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I just want to get the information out. So, I just hope that, viewers at home know when you move here and whenever you move to a new area, you're always trying and you always want to learn, but sometimes maybe you don't pronounce the name right, or or you zoom into the radar, you're like, I don't know this name of this town. So
Jen,
it's a learning curve, just like with everything whenever you start a new job.
what's been one of the learning curves at Fox 5? Because I think, one of the things I hear on this podcast from the reporters and the anchors and the meteorologists, one of the unique things about Fox, our company, is they really want you to have a personality. And I'm sure
Yes.
you've worked at other places where they probably didn't, right? They just wanted you to report the weather. They don't want you to interject. Has that been, I mean, you have a great personality anyway, but has that been an adjustment, or were you always, it was easy for you to talk about your own life, talk about your dogs, talk about the weather?
Yeah, I think here, they're really in line of what's going on now with so many people like relying on social media and, Instagram, Snapchat. And so, Fox 5 is really great staying on the cutting edge of that. And I think that's one thing that has been probably a bigger change for me from the time when I was out, recovering and then coming back. That was one big thing I've noticed. That's kind of the biggest difference. But, Fox has been very embracing about that. And they want you to like sort of have no filter and, be yourself, which is great. And, the station here, everybody loves weather. And, when we say like, hey, weather needs to be the lead, our bosses are really great about it. And, they'll rally around us and get us what we need. So I think that's great. I
Yeah.
mean, some places where I've worked in the past, maybe weather isn't, a priority, but here it really is. And I think that's what's really great about Fox 5.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's great. And I think you kind of touched on it, but social media, are you, some of our colleagues are great at social media, have
Yeah.
I mean, do you like to do any of that? Are you not really into it, but you've kind of
I
learned
can't
to
dance.
adjust?
I can't dance. So you're not going to see me on there doing any dances with Angie or Sierra. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, no, you don't want to dance. Yeah, you don't want to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be dancing. Really, you'll see me on there just maybe at times just showing you a little bit of my daily life or, dog mom life or, obviously weather life. I like to try to combine the two of them together. But yeah, me dancing, singing, that's not going to be me up there. I'll leave that to the pros.
I know. Jen, you'd have a ton of followers though if you just had accounts for your dogs. Like you could just do their lives actually.
I do. Actually I do have a page for them and I need to be better, but I always feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions and so much going on. So they have an Instagram page. It's called Pommy Rich Boys. Pommy Rich Boys.
Oh my
So I
God.
wanted them to sound kind of like bougie, but then street at the same time.
I think you nailed it. That's great.
I think really I should call them Our Dog Mom is Broke because we cost so much. That's
Oh, I know. It's as much as having a child.
Oh yeah, it's expensive. I mean, listen, I'm not going to compare
I know.
my life problems to somebody with real children, but yes.
We've been rounding out these podcast episodes with kind of doing rapid fire questions. So,
Okay.
Tell us this. What's your favorite movie? You're a woman that loves movies. What's your favorite movie?
Gosh, I have so many favorite movies. Okay, I'll tell you one that I really like the movie, like Grosse Point Blank. I
Oh,
like the movie. Great music. It's just a funny movie. Of course, I like Mean Girls. I mean, and I love like it's Christmas time, so I love A Christmas Story.
yep.
What else do I like? God, it's very hard when you think about some of your favorite movies.
I know it's hard to pick, but that's a good list actually. I think those are good
Yeah,
ones.
that's a couple. I really don't like war movies. Too depressing. I know it's like
And a lot. I'm like not into a lot of violence either. It's like after a
No.
while, it's just too much to watch.
Oh, you
yeah.
know, a movie I like. I like the movie with like Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock.
Oh God, which one is it?
They were dating. I think that movie
Is it
just
The
kind of took me-
Proposal or something? Maybe
Yes,
The Proposal.
I thought
Yeah.
that movie was super cute. I love that movie.
It was super cute. Okay, I love that you're obsessed with skin and dermatology. Tell us about your skincare routine. Are you like do you have tons of products? What's you have beautiful skin.
Yeah, I don't think my skin looks that great. If you ask any of my friends, they will say that I am the queen of ash. If you know what ash means.
You're
If
ashy?
you look down, that means I don't have any lotion on my feet. But I use a lot of glycolic products. So it's good for the turning over the skin and, things like that.
Sure. Tell us is there a goal that you have for like your career that you haven't achieved yet? I mean, you've been to network.
I've done a lot, to be honest. I've
Yeah.
worked with really great people, I've had shows nationally, internationally. So, I feel like I've done a lot,
Yeah.
So I think now really I think one thing I would really like to do is just kind of also become a voice for people with cancer and, and just trying to connect with them. And one thing that I guess I didn't mention, when I was in the hospital, I missed my animals so much. And then when I would go to infusion, as you know, it's so depressing. You're sitting there, you're getting pumped up with drugs, you're by yourself. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my dog a service dog. And so I turned Louie into a service dog. So that way he could go to the hospitals and visit all the patients, especially the kids. And a lot of times, you can't take weight on your waist or your lap when you're chemo and you're sore and things like that. So it was important to me because he's a little dog. I mean, a lot of times you see the big dogs out there. So
Sure.
Louie, is a trained emotional support dog. And then COVID happened and then he lost his job. So hopefully he'll be able to start working again soon.
Hopefully Louie can come back.
Yeah.
He can get another
He's
gig.
unemployed right now.
Tell me this. Is there a talent you wish you had that you don't have?
Oh, God. A lot of things, like growing up, I was first chair in clarinet and as well for the violin. And I kind of wish I would have stuck with that a little bit more. Talents, I did gymnastics a lot when I was a kid. So I kind of wish I would have stuck with that.
Oh, yeah.
But other talents, yeah, there's so many things out there. People are so good at so many things.
Aren't they? It's crazy. Everything you look around,
People
you
just
think,
being, great at dancing or, great cooks or something like that. I don't have the cooking gift. My sister is a chef, so she has that one. But there's so many things I wish I was able to do better. But, we still got more time.
absolute. Jen, please. Yes. Every day. Any regrets so far, whether it's personal life or with your dogs, anything that you wish you could get a do-over?
God, there's so many things.
I know.
We don't have enough time.
Me too. I know. I can understand that. Anything you want to share or no? Or just there's so many?
No, I'm not really. No, not really.
Okay, last question.
Uh-huh.
Tell us, I'm sure listeners over the years,
Only
viewers,
thing I think I would regret is maybe not becoming a seismologist. Probably that's probably, but there's still more time. I can still do it.
oh, you'll do it. Oh, you'll
Yeah.
definitely do it. Tell us a funny story. Certainly viewers, you, Marissa, all the women, right? I'm sure get tweeted at all the time. Any funny tweets or like a viewer ever said anything to you that stuck with you that was funny or you liked or you didn't like? Because people
Oh,
certainly
please.
feel like they can comment on anything.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, viewers can send nice letters and nice messages, and they can send not so nice messages, you know. So I think probably like the biggest comment I get from people, probably when I meet them in person, they're like, "Wow, you're so much smaller in person." Or a lot of times people will tweet at me like, "Oh, you need to fix your hair," or something like that. I'm like, I can't control it. This is the result of chemo curls. So it's funny. A lot of
Yeah,
people say,
thanks.
"Oh, you need to fix your wig." I'm not wearing a wig. It just looks like a wig because it's so big. So I think that's probably the most common I get. But I have a very busy schedule tonight, and I have to get ready for Like It or
Okay.
Not.
Goodbye. We'll have a wonderful time. Thank you
Yeah,
for
we
being
can
on.
talk more again.
No, just wrap it up. Tell us where we can follow you. Where can people
Oh,
find you and
okay.
follow
You can
you?
follow me on Twitter, Jen Delgado Weather, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and then I'm on Snapchat. I just don't know my Snapchat name, so if
And
you
Jen,
find my name, you tell me.
when can we watch you? When are
And
you
then, of
on?
course, I post a lot on my dog's page, which is Pommy Rich Boy, Pommy Rich Boys.
Awesome. And when can we watch you? When are you on? What's your schedule at Fox?
I am on Wednesday through Sunday, and then I'm on in the evenings. You can catch me on the 5, 6, 10, and then 11 o'clock.
Love it. Thanks, Jen Delgado. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.